HTC slots in a new 4-inch screened phone between its new unibody Android 2.3 wielding Desire S at 3.7 inches and the existing Desire HD at 4.3 inches. The incredible S will ship with Android 2.2 and all the internals are virtually identical between the models. The Incredible also uses special rotating icons depending on the device's orientation. The Char's unique selling point is a dedicated Facebook button. It's a QWERTY candy bar with a 2.6-inch touchscreen with resolution of 480 by 320 and runs Android 2.3 Gingerbread, like the rest. You'll remember that I reviewed the original Motorola Milestone, aka the Droid, about a year ago. I generally liked it, but had a number of complaints, which I'm quite sure Motorola has taken on board and fixed for this, the Milestone 2. I'm quite sure. On the original, I hated the flat, lifeless, one-piece QWERTY keyboard. On the Milestone 2, it's still flat and lifeless and one piece. Just a little less flat and ever so slightly bigger, thanks to the removal of that horrible gold rectangular D-pad. On the original, there was a 5-megapixel camera with LED flash, so that'll have been upgraded. Okay, it hasn't. Same old, same old. The screen then. Look, in early 2010, it was an old-fashioned TFT affair that you couldn't really see outdoors. Oh wait, no change there either. At least we can love the fact that the classic Milestone doesn't have that slow Moto Blur layer added to Android. We can use the OS just the way Google intended. What? Motorola has added Moto Blur for the Milestone 2, the one thing no one likes about their products. Incomprehensible. I know Motorola wants their own little piece of the ecosystem pie, but Android already has all the widgets and apps you need. A set of clumsy and impossible to remove Moto Blur widgets and services are definitely not what the doctor ordered. But let's celebrate a few positives about the Milestone 2, as there are several. They're just not visible. The processor has been beefed up to 1 GHz. Maybe it needs that to run Moto Blur fast enough. RAM has been doubled to 512 megabyte. Good, good. There's now an 8 GB internal disk in addition to the micro SD expansion. Terrific. No issues about running out of system disk ever on the Milestone 2. And it runs Android 2.2 now rather than 2.1, though I bet most people couldn't spot the difference. Still, we geeks know it's faster and smoother, don't we? Video capture on the camera is bumped up a notch too to full 720p, though don't expect N8-like quality, and there's sadly no focusing or even pre-focus. Here's a clip. So this is test video footage on the Motorola Milestone 2 in murky, cold, wintry UK conditions. 720p, no focusing, but pretty good sound. While on the subject of the camera, it's so-so. It would have seemed fine for 2008 with a competent 5-megapixel sensor, but expectations have moved on. This is 2011. I'd have expected far better optics or higher resolution, or both. Build quality is as good as ever, with plenty of metal in the back half of the Milestone 2 encased in a soft touch finish that's beautifully grippy and rather attractive. The large grille here on the back hides the same decent mono speaker that I've loved on the original. Here's a demo. Plus, there's a micro USB data charging port on the left side and a 3.5mm audio port on the top. The battery's 1400 mAh lithium polymer and a super performer. Even Android can't suck this baby dry during a day, so expect 2 days of moderate use per charge. Interestingly, the order of the Android control soft keys has been changed so that the menu one is in the corner, accessible just as easily when the device is opened out in landscape mode. Talking of which, how come even after explicitly opening the keyboard, you still have to swipe up the screen to unlock? It's unnecessary and annoying. But back to Moto Blur. It was acceptable on the flip out with its lesser pretensions, but I don't like it here for 3 reasons. Number 1, it slows down the UI. There's the wait while the custom Moto Blur widgets populate with latest tweets, etc. So you remove these widgets down to the trash. But then there's still the pop-up bottom of screen bar that shows up for a few seconds when you swipe through the home screens, indicating which one you're on. In portrait mode, this stops you from accessing the apps folder for a few seconds while you wait for it to go away. In landscape mode, you can't access your main 4 on-screen shortcuts. Exactly the same problem. Even with the widgets gone, there are Moto Blur sync processes going on in the background. Moto Blur fields, infiltrating applications like contacts. There's a feeling like Motoblur is a virus and impossible to remove. And without logging into a Motoblur account when you first turn the Milestone 2 on, you can't even use the device. Just having a custom layer on top of Android will delay future firmware updates to new versions of Android. Look at the original Milestone. That's still not on Android 2.2, and that was a vanilla Android device with no extra UI layer. How much delayed will the Milestone 2 be? It's somewhat telling that there haven't been many, or even any, good Android-powered phones with side-sliding QWERTY keyboards yet, given that the Milestone 2 is still rated one of the best, amazingly, even with its old design, with its old screen, with its old camera, and with its annoying software. If only Motorola had skipped Motoblur and produced just a damn competent Android smartphone, I'd have been very happy. But their insistence on fixing something that's not even broken forces me to consign the Milestone 2 to the bit bucket, reluctantly. Next. Oh yes, my regular quarterly feature, choosing a new top 5 phones in the world. It really shouldn't be that hard. Thanks for your suggestions. There's plenty to choose from. The Samsung Galaxy S, top-notch screen, decent multimedia.
No, sorry, you can't choose that.
Say hello to Tim from the Phone Show chat, by the way. Why not?
The file system is laggy, updates are erratic, and the only happy SGS owners are the ones who have spent hours fiddling and installing custom ROMs.
Okay, the Nokia N8 then, used for filming this phone show. Terrific build quality and incredible camera and multimedia.
No, you can't choose that either. We can't recommend this while there are question marks over the quality of the screens being used in the N8 and C7 production. Plus, you do remember that Symbian's going to be phased out soon.
Soon? Well, 2012. Okay. Still the best darn phone in the world from my point of view, but never mind. The Dell Streak 5.
Ahem.
Yeah, okay. That one was a joke, Tim. I was just seeing if you're paying attention. The HTC Desire Z QWERTY keyboard, every feature known to man, as long as you don't need a readable keyboard or build quality or camera or speaker.
Yeah, you kind of talked yourself out of that one, didn't you?
The BlackBerry 9780, the best BlackBerry yet.
You hated it.
I know, but lots of people love BlackBerries.
I hated it too.
What about our friends? What about Salim?
He hated it as well.
I know, the Google Nexus S, the latest and greatest Android phone. Pure Google, latest NFC gadgetry.
You won't like it.
Why not?
No expansion, scratchable screen, camera and speaker aren't great, reportedly rather buggy.
Well, the Motorola Defy, that has to be in the top 5. Remember my water demo? It's everything proof, and it's small and sexy and just works so well. It's perfect.
It's got Moto Blur on it.
And it's stuck on Android 2.1 for now. Sigh. Well, what about the large 4.3-inch HTC phones, the HD7 here and the Desire HD running Android? One of them surely got to be worth recommending.
Too big.
Well, no, look how sveltely it fits in my hand. I can get my fingers around it.
Too big.
But they're gorgeous and they're quite well made.
But they're made by HTC.
Yeah, so?
They've got HTC cameras and speakers and microphones.
Okay, good point. Next. Oh, this is ridiculous. What on earth is left? I've got to recommend something.
Well, there's the Apple iPhone 4.
Okay, yes. Apple iPhone 4. Is that it?
Well, there's the iPhone 3GS.
Don't tell me. And the iPhone 3G.
Yes, sorry.
So there you have it. Never mind the battle of the manufacturers, never mind the battle of the ecosystems, never mind superiority, technically. Just go out and get yourself an Apple iPhone. Tim and I are, of course, being a little flippant, but our point stands. Everything that comes out seems to be horribly flawed in some way or other. Nothing gets absolutely everything right, apart from the iPhones, and even then you've got to really buy into Apple's ecosystem, Apple's connection software, Apple's app-based world, which may or may not be to your taste, especially if you're a bit of a geek like me. Tim and I are desperate for some decent iPhone competitors. I'm currently slumming it with a geeked out N97, and Tim's slumming it with an LCD screen version of the HTC Desire. There are some interesting designs and specs in the devices announced over the last few weeks, so hopefully the next top 5 will be more substantial. In the meantime, I give you my recommended iPhone alternative, the Star Trek communicator. I mean the Nokia 6650. What you say? It's got flashing sci-fi multicoloured LEDs and lets you call up Starship transporter chiefs. Beam me up, Tim. What more do you want from a phone?